last year, I made a film for Panorama about a unit of British soldiers fighting a vicious war against the Taliban in southern Afghanistan.
300, sir.
One of the main characters was a soldier from Tottenham called Jack Mizon. He was 23 years old, the same age as Prince Harry.
Enemy!
His story was so exceptional and so obviously far from over that I decided to make another programme just about him. But back in England, after just one afternoon of filming, he disappeared.
That's about it really for him.
And no one knew where he'd gone. This is the story of what was asked of one young man in a war that is demanding more of our soldiers than any other conflict for over half a century. This is Jack, a soldier's story.
Duties!
The Queen's Company have been back from Afghanistan for 2 months, and regimented life in their Aldershot barracks is back to normal.
All right, Jack. All right, John, how you doing, mate?
During the brief time I spent with Jack, it was clear that he was already struggling to readjust. Especially when given mundane duties like signing in guests all day long. And he'd already been disciplined.
I'm on Paraguay's punishment, yeah. We got pissed the other night, I think it was Wednesday, all dressed up in webbing and our pants and wrapped scarves around our head and broke into the cookhouse and tried to nick some food. But managed to get a watermelon and got chased out of the cookhouse by the chef with a shoe. And punishment's this Sunday, I've got to do another one of these. So I've got no weekend at all, for the sake of a watermelon. Yeah, it was funny.
Called Mizon's, he's a bit of a scallywag back here, but a very capable soldier in the field.
Cheers, pal.
He's fearless, occasionally to the point of recklessness, but yeah, a very brave young man.
2838. All right, I'll get it sorted. I'll get him to ring you. All right, bye. Yeah, Gosmer Don's been sent to hospital for whatever reason, so they have to go down and pick him up. I think someone's going to go down and make sure he's all right and that. I think he's got chlamydia. He ain't going to be happy with that. That's about it. That's about as lively as it'll get today. Boring.
Jack always needed a focus. Yeah, and that's what I found in him. Yeah, definitely.
Otherwise the boredom sets in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Has he got a problem when he gets bored?
Yeah.
Yeah, he gets a bit ratty. I
first met Jack 8 months earlier in southern Afghanistan, where the trouble was on another scale. He was serving under Major Martin David and Sergeant Major Glenn Snazel with the 1st Battalion, Queen's Company, the Grenadier Guards. Like almost 8,000 British troops deployed in Afghanistan, they are serving in Helmand, Afghanistan's most violent province.
Getting cover! That's enemy fire above us! That's mortars incoming now.
Our call sign now has a T1, I repeat, a T1 casualty.
The Queen's Company knew exactly what to expect here, but things had been relatively quiet so far. For Jack and some of his colleagues, this was their first close-quarter firefight.
5591. Okay, let's start moving back. Okay, sir.
For Jack and his close friend, Lance Sergeant Jason MacDonald, this is what years of training have been for.
Yeah, it was fun, it was fun. Bit hot though, bit hot.
It's getting a bit too close over the RPGs and that. Whizzing over the wall.
Get them shaken out into a defensive posture so I can get 6-2 back.
Come on, move it. Bring each other out.
Jack and the Queen's Company have to fight the Taliban, Islamist fighters with a ferocious reputation. At the same time, they're also training and supporting the fledgling Afghan National Army, or ANA.
6-2, can you come and get a fucking grip of these idiots?
The ANA still have a lot to learn, but they have the makings of good soldiers.
Unbelievably brave.
Yeah, oh yeah, there's one stood up eating an apple. Stood up and there was RPGs winging straight over our heads, and I was on my belt buckle doing the old drills. And he was eating an apple, laughing at us and that. Yeah, they don't care.
Very good soldier, my soldier, very good.
When we got back to the patrol base, Jack and Sergeant MacDonald were happy with the way the ANA had performed.
They got stuck in. They got stuck in straight away, they ran forward, they didn't muck about. They did well today.
They love killing time.
Worked their bollocks off. Everyone's alive. Sweating but alive.
But the next time, there'll be more of us, so we might be able to smash them.
Next time will be good.
I don't think there was much around here for him. He knew that from an early age. Wanted to go in the army when he was 14, which we ignored. And,
not ignored, but I didn't believe it, really.
When he was 17, he went.
But I knew that, you know, because he didn't have no qualifications when he left school, and I knew he'd do something with himself, though. He wouldn't waste his life, I don't think.
And he said he'd be in trouble staying around
That's
here,
right.
yeah, which is why he wanted out.
By the time I met him, Jack had already had more than his fair share of the realities of war. The day before I arrived, he'd been in a convoy that was hit by a remote-controlled bomb.
His platoon commander had been very seriously injured and had to be evacuated, and he being maybe 10 metres behind him as they patrolled forward.
Jack escaped unscathed, but just 5 days later he was in another convoy near the town of Gereshk, which was struck by a suicide bomber. Sergeant Dave Wilkinson was dead, and 4 others were seriously injured. Jack and one other colleague had to deal with 5 casualties, including his friend Jason MacDonald, who was temporarily blinded.
I couldn't see anything. There was a panic within myself, and then I hear a voice, which was Jack, and yeah, I just followed by his voice, and he took me to the lead vehicle, and then he kept me there, and then he was off. Like I expected like a big mob to surround the vehicle, and I expected to be like paraded, I don't know, through the streets or something. But to hear that voice, and then that was it. It was just relief.
In just over a week, Jack had lost his entire platoon.
So he was alone, and that 6-man team that he trained with, bonded with, and so on, had all gone.
Here's a family. You just know, everyone knows each other's stories. You could just sit down and tell anyone how you feel about anything.
Did it have an impact on him? Yeah, it had a huge impact. I mean, he saw some of his very close colleagues and friends being killed and seriously wounded.
Later that day, we drove along the same road that Jack had been attacked on.
It's a particularly nervous drive because there have been intelligence reports that the suicide bomber who struck is just one of 5 who are currently in Gereshk right now wearing explosive belts and looking to blow themselves up as close as possible to Afghan or British soldiers.
Any vehicle or person that we passed could have been one of the remaining 4 bombers.
Confusion. Everyone wants water. One person wants a lot. They all gather round. Like, he wants a lot of the water for himself, and he says he's going to sort it out. But if you give it to him, he'll just fuck off with a lot. So nothing gets sorted out. Good.
Just 2 days after he could have died in the suicide bombing, Jack was preparing for the biggest operation mounted so far.
Yeah.
He seemed to be coping unbelievably well.
Right, we're leaving at 17:30.
The Green Zone is a fertile strip of land that flanks the Helmand River, which runs through the province. It's such perfect fighting terrain for the Taliban that the Americans here call it the heart of darkness. The aim of this operation was to clear a group of compounds in the zone occupied by the Taliban, and then to hold on to them. But the area they need to clear is eerily quiet. The local civilians have all left. This usually means they know the Taliban are close and there's about to be a fight. As we walk through endless fields of opium poppies, everyone is nervous. There is no doubt that the enemy know we are here.
What are they saying?
They're about to attack. They are getting ready for attack, to attack us.
To attack us here? Do you know where they are?
No, the location is not known.
Then they were spotted.
Whoa! Where the fuck are they coming from?
One group of soldiers stormed a compound to our right. And Jack arrived to take the Afghan soldiers to the hedgerow in front of us, which was giving the Taliban cover. He was carrying his Rambo-esque heavy machine gun.
If anything did happen in the contact, he wanted to have the bigger gun to give, you know, them a good hiding.
Yo, this way!
When we were fighting in the Green Zone, he would invariably be at the front. Wherever we needed the heaviest weight of fire, he was there.
That's Jack.
There were times where he would literally be stood up in full view of the enemy so that he could get a better angle down into the enemy positions. Always fearless and always where he was needed. I think certainly on the Afghans it had a tremendous impact. They see someone like that, they get inspired by it.
We were pleased to hear an Apache helicopter arrive overhead, because when you're surrounded by extremely keen but inexperienced Afghan soldiers, disaster never feels too far away.
Hey! Back blast!
But then the helicopter pilot took everyone by surprise by strafing the field next to us.
PKM or something like that, was it?
He then launched a Hellfire missile, but not at the Taliban positions.
Something just hit that compound.
Hey.
It had hit the compound that the Queen's Company had just assaulted.
I think you're glad you didn't go over there then. Yeah.
With everyone worried about a friendly fire incident, we decided to run across open ground to join them.
ANA soldiers are saying that 6 of their men have been killed by the friendly Apache helicopter, which is still hovering overhead.
Jack arrived to provide covering fire.
Do you want me to cover you? Do you want me to cover you?
We're going to go down.
It was one of his many acts of bravery that I witnessed.
Go across the bottom. When we're down there, Jack,
Yeah.
we'll cover you if you want.
Okay.
Come up in here, Jack. Go now. Go, go, go! Stay in. Go on!
Go. Jump!
Ben, come on! Go! 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 Back at you! Come on, fella. Let's go.
This tiny wall in front of the compound had become the new front line.
Enemy assessed at 100 to 200 metres east of Compound Sierra.
Yeah, we're taking small arms fire and RPG about 200 metres to our front. We're a bit pinned down at the moment. We're going to try and move out now.